I am your host, James Yoder. I'm going to dive into my top 25 polls, preseason polls, way too early preseason polls. The national championship game hasn't even been played if you watch this live, but we're going to put this out on Tuesday. So by the time you watch this on demand, if you are, you'll know if Georgia or TCU won the game. But because I'll be traveling all day Tuesday, I want to make sure I've got a video for you guys. So we'll put this out on Tuesday. I'll ask you guys this question to start today's show. Who will be ranked number one in the 2020 preseason polls? I want to know from you guys what you're thinking on next season. I think it's always going to be 4 or 5 candidates. They're going to be up there no matter what. Lately, of course, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson in most years, but Michigan's up there this year. USC returning Heisman Trophy winner off I guess they ended up being a 4-loss team. USC didn't they? Or is it 4-loss team or 3-loss team? But they'll be up there as well, considering Caleb Williams. They just got South Carolina's leading rusher to transfer as well. So let me know who you guys think will be number one. From the live chat, I've got Dylan says Alabama, Julian says Michigan, and Dylan says Bama, and he says Tulane as well. And then Steve Reichard says USC. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments. Let's take a look at my way too early top 25, starting with number 25, and that is the Arizona Razorbacks. Arkansas Razorbacks. KJ Jefferson, their dual threat, multi-talented quarterback, returning again next year. They've got them as number 25. How about number 24? It's the Iowa Hawkeyes, the Michigan Wolverines of the West, the Midwest, the far Midwest. Cade McNamara, Eric All. Some rumors about a Michigan wide receiver could be transferring there as well, so keep an eye out for that one. They were a decent team this year, but with Cade McNamara, Big Ten champion, Eric All, potential top 3-round draft pick at tight end in the 2024 NFL draft if he's healthy. I think Iowa, I've got them if they get any semblance of an offensive strategy, play calling at number 24. 23, Tulane, Green Wave. What a game against USC. They came back, got the safety, 2 points there, and then went down and scored a touchdown to beat USC in the Cotton Bowl, coming in at number 23. Wisconsin, SMU quarterback Tanner Mordecai, who had a great season this year and was at Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley prior to the last couple seasons with SMU. He's transferring for, I think, is his 6th year of eligibility now. Will be his last one, going up to Wisconsin with their new head coach. So they are number 22. And then 21, Texas Longhorns, Xavier Worthy, if he comes back, his wide receiver coach just took the OC job at UNLV. And Quinn Ewers, will he live up to the hype? It's his 3rd year in college. Next year, he left high school year early in 2021, Ohio State. This year as a starter at Texas, was injured for a couple games, and now returns for what could be his last year, or hey, it could be Arch Manning. Speaking of Quinn Ewers, is he a Heisman Trophy candidate? We'll see, but let me know who you guys think the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner will be down in the comments and the live chat. The 2023 Heisman Trophy winner will be Blake Corum. That's what I think, at least, as long as he is healthy and Michigan can give him and Donovan Edwards. And really, a lot of people got to eat next year on this Michigan offense. JJ McCarthy wants to get his passing numbers up. Certainly, the wide receivers want to be more part of the game plan. Colson Loveland, Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum. A lot of mouths to feed next year. But if Blake Corum hadn't gotten hurt against Illinois and Michigan still beats Ohio State, I think he would have won it this year. So I'm going to go with Blake Corum for 2023. Number 20, the South Carolina Gamecocks, right? What a kind of momentum-filled back half of the season they had. They beat Clemson. They beat Tennessee. They did lose their leading rusher, starting running back for most of the games this season to USC. But as long as Spencer Rattler doesn't surprise everybody and return to declare for the NFL, as long as he returns next year, Shane Beamer seems to have that thing rolling a little bit on offense. They are number 20 in my polls. Number 19, I've got Oregon State. I don't know what to make of this Oregon State team. Sometimes they look really good, sometimes not that good. But DJ Uiagalelei, we'll call him DJU, 5-star quarterback from Clemson, really hasn't turned out to be as good as his hype coming out of high school. He was a 2-year starter with the Tigers, and now he will transfer to Oregon State for his 4th year in college football. Number 18, we've got Ole Miss. Their young quarterback returns next year. Lane Kiffin, of course, he's done a good job at Ole Miss for the past couple of seasons, but odd bowl game, right? They really had a weird bowl game. What turned out to be a losing bowl game with some just random play calls, going for a 4th down like your own 30. So we'll see what shakes out with them. They are my number 18 team going into the 2023 college football season. Folks, today's Michigan Football Report is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard it can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habits for a positive one. I didn't expect much of the Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation is really powerful, and it really hits the back of the throat. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors for you to enjoy: maple pepper, crisp mint, and my favorite, the white cranberry flavor coming with the Journey Pack. Folks, Fume is not a vape. It is a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That link is in the comments and the description of today's video. That's tryfum.com/chatsports. Use code CHATSPORTS to save an additional 10% off when you order the Journey Pack today. Back into my top 25, way too early preseason poll for the 2023 college football season. How about the Tennessee Volunteers, right? Michigan of the South with Joe Milton, the Cam Newton of the next generation, so they said 2 years ago. He should be their starting quarterback, although they do have one of the top 10 players in high school football coming in the Southern California area, coming to Tennessee as a quarterback next year. So if Milton doesn't turn into the player that a lot of people thought he would a couple of years ago, he's going to do 6 year at Tennessee. He started the bowl game. He won the bowl game for him against Clemson, but we'll see if he can keep that rolling into next year. If not, they've got a highly touted freshman coming in. But Tennessee, after a great year this year, kind of a comeback year for them, they are number 17 in my way too early top 25. Number 16, North Carolina Tar Heels. They've lost basically their entire secondary trying to transfer out there, including 3 starters. But nevertheless, they might have the best or top 3 quarterback in college football next year with Drake May. So I put the North Carolina Tar Heels at number 16 on my way to early top 25. So there's your 25 through 16. And you can agree, disagree with me down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think so far. But I want to now dive into the juicy stuff. The top 15 will go 15 to 11, then give you inside my top 10 and spend a little more time on the top 5 or so teams. Number 15, I got Utah. Cam Rising should be back again for another year. They went to back-to-back Rose Bowls, losing effort against Ohio State a couple years ago, losing effort against Penn State. But nevertheless, they are the back-to-back Pac-12 champions, and I think that we'll see a big-time year from them again. I got them at 15 coming into next season. So number 14, Kansas State. Your Big 12 champions. Deuce Vaughn, their running back, their All-American running back, is gone. Struggle versus Alabama, but Will Howard, their quarterback, will return. 14 is where I've got Kansas State going into 2023. 13, we've got Clemson. Okay, so Cade Klubnik's taking over for DJU. Kind of looked like crap in the bowl game, so I don't know, maybe a little too much hype for him. But he had some good moments as a true freshman. He was one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the 2022 recruiting class out of the state of Texas. Went head-to-head against Quinn Ewers when they were juniors in high school and looked a hell of a lot better than Ewers, and then also beat him head-to-head in the Elite 11. So they might have one of the top quarterbacks in college football next year if Cade Klubnik can kind of bring it all together. Clemson at 13. Number 12, we've got Notre Dame. Sam Hartman's transferring in from Wake Forest. 8,000 yards passing, 77 touchdowns for him over the last 2 years. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Decided to transfer to Notre Dame, and in the second year under Marcus Freeman, we'll see if they can have a little bit of a faster start. They really stunk at the beginning of the year on offense and really didn't turn around until about their 6th, 7th game down the field. But with Hartman, they're going to have one of the better passers, pure passers in all of college football next season. Number 11, I've got the Oregon Ducks. Bo Nix returns for what feels like his 15th season in college football. He will be in his 2nd year at Oregon. They've recruited well, but I'm not sure if I really trust their head coach going into his 2nd year. But Bo Nix isn't good enough to put them at number 11. Although I have seen others put them as high as number 5, which I completely disagree with. Oregon is number 11. TCU. Now, if they win the game tonight, and you might be watching this on Tuesday, so if TCU won last night, just slate them up to number 5, move everybody down 1 spot, and then we'll talk about what that means for Michigan and Georgia and some other teams. But if they lose as they're a 2-score underdog, I'm going to put them at number 10, the TCU Horned Frogs. They'll lose Max Duggan. They're losing Quentin Johnson, but that team has championship DNA now, beating Michigan and making it to the College Football National Championship game. I've got TCU at number 10. Number 9 is the Washington Huskies. Michigan kind of, I don't know, they caught Washington at the right time when they played them in 2021 and beat them down under the lights in Michigan Stadium and didn't really have to make up that game. It's not going to get up to like 2028, but Washington got Michael Penix Jr., the only Indiana quarterback in the last 35 years to beat Michigan. He's their quarterback now. He's one of the top passers in college football, and he could be a serious Heisman Trophy candidate next year. So I've got Washington at number 9. Number 8, Florida State. Admittedly, I didn't watch a ton of Florida State this year, but Jordan Travis, their quarterback, returns from a 10-3 team. They beat Oklahoma in their bowl game, and an Oklahoma team that absolutely stunk. But nevertheless, 10-3 Florida State, I've got at number 8. Number 7, we'll get to in a second, but I want you guys to predict next year's 4 playoff teams down in the comments. I'm going to go off the cuff here, and give them to you just thinking in my head. I'm going to go Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia. The 5th one's tough. Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, USC. That's my 5 next year. Alabama probably is right up there. Maybe alludes to what my top 4 or 5 teams here. But let me know what you guys think. Who will be your CFP the last year of the 4-team college football playoff next year in 2024? USC, UCLA move to the Big Ten. Oklahoma and Texas might move it up a year. They could be in the SEC, and there will be a 12-team playoff in the 2024 season. So let me know your pick for next year's 4-team playoff. Number 7 is LSU. Brian Kelly will be going to second year there. They really struggled on offense to start the year, but really put it together, beating Alabama, making it to the SEC championship game in year 1 under Brian Kelly. Jaden Daniels returning for his season. He's not going to go pro. Arizona State's finest with Bruiser Jack went to Arizona State as well. And Jaden Daniels transferred to LSU before last year and will be their starting quarterback again in 2023. Number 6. Now, I might be 2 or 3 spots higher than Penn State than some other people, but look at their skill position players this year. You got 2 true freshman running backs leading the way. You've watched the Rose Bowl. This should be no surprise to you. They've got really strong tight ends. They've got young freshman, sophomore wide receivers come back that are up there with maybe the top skill position group wide receivers, running backs. I would say Penn State next year is going to have a top 5 or 6 group all in. And then you add the number 1 quarterback in the 2022 recruiting class, and that's Drew Aller out of my hometown, Medina, Ohio. The Buckeyes decided to take Quinn Ewers over him. And Drew Aller, then Ewers, reclassified. Then Drew Aller went to Penn State. He's going to be a second-year player next year, and if he lives up to his high school hype, being the number 1 quarterback in the 2022 class, according to 24/7 Sports, I'm sure others had him a little lower, but I think Penn State can be very, very dangerous. And you got a glimpse of that even with Sean Clifford against Utah when they won the Rose Bowl last week. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Michigan Football Report. If you love Michigan football, subscribe to us. We put out the most content, and we will continue that this offseason. It's going to be a ton of look-aheads to 2023 recruiting, Jim Harbaugh saga this month in January, all up to the second signing day in early February. After that, folks, we've got spring football in March and April and on from there. So subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/MichiganTV. Inside of the top 5, you have the Ohio State Buckeyes. This should be an absolutely loaded team. I kind of think this Ohio State team this year reminds me just the last 2 odd years, right? 2021 and 2019. Everybody's coming back. They've got no questions. Travion Henderson's coming back at running back. They've got multiple running backs coming back. Mayan Williams could go pro, but he also could come back. You got the best wide receiver in college football, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Ibuka, and they've got 3, 4, low 5-star wide receivers coming in this freshman year class. Some offensive linemen leaving, but who's going to be the quarterback? Kyle McCord's the front runner right now. Devin Brown is a true freshman. He could make a run at it if they get the quarterback play that they've been known for, that they really haven't had a hiccup in quarterback play in almost 20 years. 2004 with Justin Zwick. Ohio State's pretty much had elite quarterback play since then. They have that answered. They are a top 5 team and potentially a national championship contending team going into next year. They are number 5 in my way too early, top 25 going into 2023. Number 4, Alabama. Now, Alabama is always loaded, and their questions, they're very similar to Ohio State. The only position that's being questioned next year, in my opinion, is the quarterback position. They've got Ty Simpson, the true freshman 5-star that didn't get a ton of playing time this year. And then they've got the other quarterback who started the one game is more of a runner. I expect Simpson to be the starter. But Alabama's kind of regressed when it comes to running back, wide receiver, definitely this season in 2022, and we'll see how it shakes out in the 2023 season. But think about in 2021, right? They needed an Ohio State transfer, Jameson Williams, to have a viable passing game for Bryce Young. They need a Georgia Tech running back to have a viable running game this year. So the development there has been a little shaky, but as always, Alabama's going to be right there in the preseason polls based on reputation. I think they'll kind of retool. And Nick Saban has done very well, surprisingly, when he's got first-year starting quarterbacks. It's typically when he has some of his best seasons if you look back over the past 15 years. Number 3, I've got USC. This one kind of is tough for me to really feel good about because they should have one of the best 2 or 3 offenses of college football next year, but their defense is an absolute joke, and it was obvious how much of a joke it was when they couldn't stop Utah at all in the Big 12 championship game, and they couldn't Pac-12 championship game, and they couldn't stop Tulane down the stretch of the Cotton Bowl. But they might just have to be one of these. They have to be Oklahoma of the West with Lincoln Riley and of course Caleb Williams, where they might have to win a bunch of games, 52-45. But given what they've got coming back and the hype of having the Heisman Trophy winner return for another year, I've got USC at number 3. Number 2 is your Michigan Wolverines. I want to put them number 1. And had they beat TCU, I think they would have been number 1. They made it to the national championship game. But Jim Harbaugh's bowl record, 1-6 in postseason games, 6 straight losses. Doesn't give me a lot of confidence that they're going to be what a number 1 or number 2 ranking is, that they should make the national championship game going into next year. But JJ McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, and of course now Blake Corum are all set to return next year. Jim Harbaugh's future uncertain at best. Now, by the time we publish this on Tuesday, maybe some news has come out on Jim Harbaugh that we don't have as we're filming this Monday live from the College Football National Championship game. But that is what Michigan's got coming back. If Georgia loses, though, I'll tell you about that in a second. If Georgia loses tonight, how I would change my top 25 and more specifically my top 10. But I'll ask you guys this question. Where will Jim Harbaugh coach in 2023? The NFL, the Michigan Wolverines. Which one is it going to be? Give me an M for Michigan, an N for the NFL. If you're watching live, go ahead and get in the live chat. I'll give some shout-outs on those in a second. And if you're watching this on Tuesday, go down in the comments, give me an M or an N. And this should be obvious, number 1 team going into 2023, the Georgia Bulldogs. Going into the national championship game against TCU, they're 12.5-point favorites. They win the game, and you already know by the time you watch this on Tuesday whether they did or not. Then they will be your preseason number 1 trying to go for a three-peat, which I don't know. When's the last time does a three-peat ever happen in college football in modern era? I don't really think it probably has, right? So they'll probably be trying to do something unprecedented in the modern era of college football next year if they win the game against TCU. Now, if TCU wins, then Georgia falls into my what knocked Michigan down a peg from number 1 as I had them a few weeks back for my 2023 preseason poll. If Georgia loses to TCU tonight, then I'm going to have Michigan number 1. I would actually push USC up to number 2, and I would push Georgia down to number 3. And TCU would pop from 10 up to number 5, and then everyone accordingly would go down from there. So if Georgia won the game, you watch this on Tuesday, if Georgia won the game, then they're number 1. But if they didn't, revised pick, Michigan is your number 1 team in the college football way too early 2023 preseason top 25.